The Ember Cleave. Luckily, we got the Frilled Mystic. So Frilled Mystic can come down. So opponent tries to play a big old Stonecoil Serpent. That'll be a big old negative. Spellbreaker is beautiful because we can rewind the tape. We'll untap 1, 2, 3. Missed out on land number 4, but go back and get it. And then after counting that Gruul Spellbreaker, Night Pack Ambusher, so just a casual 8 mana worth of spells. No big. How's it going, y'all? It's Fan920 and today we're back at some more MTGA standard action. This time we were playing an old friend of ours. This is some Simic Flash. This is my first game back from vacation we were playing. Now, I recorded this yesterday, so this is all post-commentary. The commentary you're about to hear over this is me talking about this. I just got done recording because I was just really tired yesterday after driving around 6.5 hours. Where's a guy out? But this list is from our friend TheRealKillaDub on Twitch, so make sure to go follow him. If you're a Simic Flash fan, like you probably already know the KillaDub because he's like one of the most just prolific Flash players out there. But this is a really big one. You're playing 4 of Dream Eater, a 4 of Great Shark, Ambusher, Frilled Mystic, Rewind. But with things like Nightbond to reduce the cost of these Flash creatures, your Growth Spiral to ramp up, you get into these things pretty fast, and it presents a clock that Simic Flash usually doesn't have. Dream Eater being able to like bounce a permanent, be a Flash flying threat, and then still be able to surveil 4 and just be able to make your draws really nice. It's really good. So we'll see if we can get the wins back on. I'm still at the bottom of Platinum, man. Like, I don't think I'm going to make Mythic this season. It's just been a rough season. That's okay. But we'll take this in ranked, see how it goes. Let's go. Alrighty, y'all. It's first game of the day here with some Simic Flash. Now, you'll see in the background here, you see like remnants of my face going on there. This is post-commentary. I'm not playing right now. But when I recorded this, I meant to record it with no face cam. So that way I could talk over it later because I just got back from vacation. This is the first games I've played since vacation. I was pretty tired. And apparently I was too tired to remember to check my settings there. So that's why you'll be seeing part of me in the background here for this game only. The other two games I fixed it. But we're still doing some post commentary here. Otherwise you'd just be seeing. I mean, I can move out of the way here. See how exciting that is? So here we get to have a nice little trade. Cunning Nightbonder blocking their Pelt Collector. You love to see it. They just play a Temple of Abandon. What's their follow-up? Another Pelt Collector. So we're playing against some Gruul here. So, on the play versus Gruul, we have some good cards against them. If we can just basically just go one more turn without them really doing anything to us here, we'll have Frilled Mystics and Voracious Great Sharks held up, which are fantastic against them. So, already feeling like I'm in a pretty good spot here. Opponent plays a Fabled Passage, so they don't have much to do. Now, they'd be holding up Stomp. They could also play Surtai Goblin, Robber the Rich. But they would have played that pre-combat. Instead, opponent just plays a Stonecoil Serpent, side to side, just to tempo them out a little bit. Go ahead and Brazen Borrower, Petty Theft on that Pelt Collector. Because from here, I can hold up with the Great Sharks, hold up the Frilled Mystics, and just be able to counter other things. Now, I can't attack into that Serpent because it has Pro Multicolor, which Cunning Nightbonder is. But that's okay, because we're still in a really good spot here. Now, I'm hoping this next turn they just try to slam a Questing Beast or something big, and I can get this Great Shark down and go to town on them. So they crack a Fabled Passage here. Get the Forest. I'm hoping they slam that Questing Beast down. Let me counter it, baby. Instead, they play Pelt Collector. I figure they probably got something better here, so I must do pass the turn. Now, they go ahead and get the swing here, which is pretty greedy, if I'm being honest. And they pass the turn here, which is actually really unfortunate because I wanted to counter something here. So I figure for now, since I've got another land anyway, I can play this Brazen Borrower for 2. Should they shoot either one of these down, then I'll still be able to hold up the Great Shark or Frilled Mystic. So opponent decides to stomp on the Brazen Borrower. Personally, I think the Nightbonder is actually a little bit more important here, but we'll see. So here we play a Triome, get to attacking, get them down to 16. Even though they're winning the race right now, we just have such big creatures in hand that we're able to race this. And opponent can't just play around counter spells forever. Eventually they have to play something. So here they go for the Ember Cleave. Luckily we got the Frilled Mystic. So Frilled Mystic can come down, counter that. We'll go down to 12, but now we have 5 power on board compared to their 3. And for those of you who don't know math very well, 3 is less than 5. So now we're in a great spot. We have Quench held up, we have Petty Theft, we can play another Brazen Borrower. Great Sharks, they try to play this Bone Crusher Giant. We're just in fantastic shape. So opponent tries to play a big old Stonecoil Serpent. That'll be a big old negative. So we'll counter that. Have this 5/4 Great Shark down. We're just in such a good spot now. Now I can't really afford to attack in too much because my Cunning Nightbonders have both can't attack through Stonecoil Serpent. So I get greedy. Bounce the Stonecoil Serpent. This way we can attack with everything. And that is game. It's a good game one there against Gruul Aggro. Being on the play helps a lot against them. So Aether Gust will come in. Looking at Warrant. I think Warrant can be a good card against them. Maybe it's one you're not supposed to bring in there because they have so many haste creatures it feels kind of bad. But still, like if you can just tempo them out and like, keep putting cards on top of the library like that and like, you know, start them from lands and such, I think it's a pretty good idea. Nightbonder I take out 2 of. Growth Spiral would take out 1 of. The Nightbonder is kind of bad here because it dies to Stomp and they don't counter anything, so it's not like that matters too much. So yeah. Opening hand here is slow, but we are on the draw. And if we can just get an untapped land in one of these few draws, then we can have Growth Spiral on 2 into that Nightpack Ambusher on 3, and that's pretty good. So we scry another Nightpack Ambusher to the bottom because we don't need a third one. Opponent has the Robber, and it comes and takes our untapped land that we needed, which is really unfortunate. And just to punish us a little bit, we draw a Growth Spiral. There's a land on top here, and we keep, even though I should have paid attention to the Robber the Rich there. They can just scry that to the bottom. Now it is just a land, so it's not a huge deal, but they have another Robber the Rich. Yikes. So Robber been one of the more scarier cards against Simic Flash. Them having a turn 2 Robber and a turn 3 Robber is really good. So we do draw well, I was going to say untapped land, but we don't have any islands. So we're kind of just going to get beat down right now. And this is where Simic Flash is definitely at its worst, was whenever you're on the draw and you have a slow start that can't really interact with them. We just play in tap lands after tap land after tap land. Robber being good here. So I got options here. If I let them go to attacks, they could possibly Ember Cleave. I can Aether Gust something just to prevent that. But then it kind of sucks because if I do that, they can just play it again next turn. And unfortunately, they grab a Quench off the top, which is actually huge because if I try to Aether Gust anything, they can just Quench it. So at this point, I know it's pretty much over, but I have to at least try. Now, they do play into me having Aether Gust here, so I can try to do this. But man, it's just, we're not in a good spot is what it comes down to. Also have the option of maybe playing Growth Spiral and trying to force that in the land. But at this point, like, we're just so behind on board as it stands right now that I think Aether Gusting that and keeping the board as empty as we can is what we got to do. Miss on another land. So with missed land drops here, I know I have to find something, which I do. We find that, so we can still hold up Brazen Borrower and Aether Gust here. But just like last time, not in the best of spots. So opponent tries to play the Spellbreaker out. Here we can go ahead and try to Aether Gust again. Again, just try to buy ourselves a little bit more time so we can untap with these Nightpack Ambushers and maybe get back in this game. It's going to be rough, and we're kind of taking them off their draw steps at least. But it is what it is. They still get the swinging 4 here. They take a Warrant Warden, which is also really bad for us because now even if we play the Nightpack Ambusher, they can just Warrant it and put it on top of our deck. It ain't good, folks. Now, the Brazen Bar is not a terrible draw because with 2 Petty Thefts, we can keep ourselves alive here. So, just trying to decide what to do here. It's really tough. So, opponent decides to haste that out. They know, well, we can have an Ambusher here, but it's still just better for them to do what they got to do. So, I decide here before attacks to just go ahead and Petty Theft both of these, which again, feels really bad. Perhaps the best move is to play the Ambusher there. But again, if I did that, we're just dead because they have 5 damage coming at us. They can put their Nightpack Ambusher back on top. So we're just in kind of, you see me almost concede there. Decide, hey, we'll try it out. Maybe they get greedy and cast this Robber the Rich or something like that. So I'm hoping they just cast Robber the Rich here, and they do. So I'm thinking, okay, this is my possibility here. I can counter this with Great Shark. I can block their Spellbreaker and go to 1 with that Robber the Rich. And if we put that back on top, it's not even the worst thing for us. So I did that. Just trying to avoid any kind of other haste creature they've got here. They got a Questing Beast, so that's GG's. Sideboard-wise here, we put 1 more Dream Eater back in, I think. Or maybe it's normal Gray Shark. I do this too fast and honestly can't remember what I did, so apologies for that. End up putting my Night Bonders back in and cutting 2 Brazen Borrowers there, just because they have so many kind of haste credits that the Brazen Borrowers and Petty Thefts don't really work super well together. So we're going to take the play this time. Opening hand here, we just got to draw some lands, and this is potentially fantastic. Triome coming down. Temple of Abandon for opponents pass the turn. Here we're just looking for lands. We got the Quench here for anything they play on turn 2. That's a land. Go ahead and play the island for now. Pass the turn. Now we just need a green source. Wait and see what opponents got. They got nothing. Luckily for us, we find a breeding pool, so we can play that tap and still hold a Quench and be inconspicuous about it. This tells me they probably have a Stomp with that delay there, and they're just waiting for something. Either way, we're in a really good spot. They try to play Spellbreaker. We give them the Nope Rope. The Nope Rope coming in strong. They've also got a wait there, which tells me that's probably a Stone Cold Serpent. So here we're in a great spot. We got Rewind, Frilled Mystic, Ambusher all held up. We're 1 mana away from Great Shark. We're in just a fantastic spot. We're waiting to see what opponent does here. Spellbreaker is beautiful because we can rewind the tape. We'll untap 1, 2, 3. Missed out on land number 4, but go back and get it. And then, after counting that Gruul Spellbreaker, Nightpack Ambusher, so just a casual 8 mana worth of spells. No big deal. Here, attack in for 4. Make us a wolf token. Pass the turn. Now they try to play another Questing Beast or something like that. We have the Great Shark that can counter it, and at that point we have 9, 10, 11, 12 damage on board. Instead they play a Ceratops, and unfortunately we can't counter that. So that's kind of disheartening. Luckily, they don't appear to. Okay, so they don't want to haste it out quite yet, which is good for us. Though I guess we would have taken that. Like we swing 7 at them to their 5. So we do the forest here. Now I should have scryed a Castle Vantress. I think I missed out on that. That was my fault. Sometimes I'm not perfect. Why? I mean, you've seen my play all season. I'm still at the bottom of class, so obviously I'm not perfect. Now, granted, a lot of bad luck on that too, but that's magic, baby. So here, we're still holding up a bunch of stuff. The only thing we're trying to avoid here is just more Ceratops. But now, even if they have hasty Ceratops, we have these 2 wolves that can trade with one. So even then, not in the worst of spots. We give him the Nice, because that's a good card for him to have. I could play a creature out on his face here, but decided to not do it. Now, I should be using my castle here, so they've only got 1 mana open. But I'm kind of afraid they may have a red cap melee. So instead, I just go ahead and... That one was intentional to not do it there. We have another Nightpack Ambusher on that one we take for sure. Now, more than likely, that little pause they have is just for the shifting Ceratops, but you never know. Sometimes people will do weird stuff and bring in red cap melees to kill Nightpack Ambushers. I've seen that happen before. So, again, they have these 2 great cards, but their attacks are very bad. An Embercleave would be rough for us, but they'd have to attack with everything, and if they do, they're still not in a good spot. So here, I know they're probably trying to bait us, but I feel like still just using Great Shark is the thing we got to do here. That Scavenging Ooze can get really big and out of control, and I don't want that to happen. Now, possibly should have done Frilled Mystic here instead, so that way I could have held up Quench. And looking back at it, that's probably the wrong move, so now I could have countered this robber as well. Even so, this robber's not doing anything. So, got 3 little wolf tokens. I could go to attack with those, and then if they block with shifting Ceratops, then I could pop them up, but that's not lethal if I do that. So I feel like just 1 more turn of holding up some counter magic, holding up another wolf, I'll be good to go. So we have 4 wolves out now, so I can't imagine there's too many things we're really scared of here. If they go to attack with an obvious Embercleave, we have the Frilled Mystic for it. If they don't do anything, we have Nightpack Ambusher. Stone Cold Serpent is actually kind of nice, and we get paid off for not using that Quench earlier. So now we can Quench it. They can't do anything about it. Then we're still holding up Frilled Mystic or Nightpack Ambusher. So we pass. Nightpack Ambusher coming down. And now we can really get to swinging. Decide to just, still play it somewhat safe and just send these wolf tokens at them because this is lethal. Opponent side, just give it up. Not even block when we get there. Good game, Rai-K. Good game 1 here with Simic Flash, KillaDub Flash. Getting the victory. The up and down swing up the ladder goes. So game number 2 against Traff DL. We'll take the play again. We're going to be on the play now. Back from vacation. Maybe the game has a little bit of pity on me from always being on the draw. We get to be able to play some. So opponent mulligans. We'll start off with a little temple here, and we'll keep a Quench. Not knowing what we're playing against, Quench is just fine to have. Temple of their own. So this could be a mirror. Either way, we'll drop this breeding pool. Pass the turn. Yeah, they pass the turn pretty quick there, which makes me think they're probably Flash deck also. Growth Spiral here. Trying to decide what we need to do here. Figure I'll let them have it. Usually you don't want to count it. It's just such an awkward thing to be in because they could have a really good spell here on turn 3. It could be one of their 4 draws. However, they miss land. So I feel like since they're missing land, let's go ahead and try to get this Brazen Borrower out. Petty Theft is not good against Flash anyways. So if I can get this down as a threat, then more power to us. That's just better. So Borrower hits the field. We play Fabled Passage, go to attack. Now, they could have a Shark Typhoon for 1 there, which would hurt, but we can't play around that, you know? So instead, I just pass the turn here. They have another Growth Spiral. Now, there is some consideration to quenching that, since they're missing lands. But if you do that and they start hitting lands, then it just feels really bad. However, they still miss lands. So fortunately for us, we're hitting the lands just fine. Opponent not doing much of anything here. Now, I think I get a little greedy here. I don't think I should have played this Night Pack Ambusher until I had Counter Magic back up with it. But I figured with us being in such a commanding position right now, that it was worth it to try to get that down while their shields were kind of down. So, Brazen Borrower coming in. We're still holding up double Quench, double Petty Theft. They shock into 12. I could try to play another Brazen Borrower, but I think just leaving all our mana on the table here is good. We have multiple Great Sharks here. Get them down to 9 past the turn. Hope they just try to play play an ambusher here. I don't have anything opponent. I got nothing. I got nothing opponent. They play the ambusher. We play the Great Shark. Even though they started off missing lands, they caught up just fine, and now we're kind of even in lands again, so it's like it didn't matter that much. They play land tapped. We pick up a Frilled Mystic, which is fantastic. Here we can swing and get them down to 1. Brazen Borrower with the Petty Theft. So I could try to counter that, but I could also try to double Quench it and be real greedy. Instead, I feel like, we're still in a great position. We have more cards than they do. We actually have a board presence that they don't have. And I can just hold up all these other counter spells, so we let that happen. This is kind of where you have a lot of decisions to make with these kind of decks and why they're so much fun. Brineborn Cutthroat. Trying to think of what to do here. I could Great Shark it. I could Quench it. I could Frilled Mystic it. If I had one more land, then I would love to be able to Frilled Mystic it and still hold up Quench. Or Quench it and hold up Frilled Mystic, I guess. But no such luck. We have 5 cards in hand and 8 power on board. Opponent has 3 cards in hand. Now they have more lands on us all of a sudden since we decided to stop hitting lands. The deck plays 26. But we're a quarter of the way through and still have 5, so I guess we'll take that. So they try to play the Brazen Borrower now, which is smart by them. And they have another Petty Theft for this Great Shark. Yoinks. Well, opponent's down to 2 cards now, and we're just kind of outvaluing them here slowly. I could try to bounce their Brazen Borrower, which I do. Now that's kind of a risky play, but I think just getting them down to a super low clock and forcing them to have a bunch of counter spells is how we want to get this game done. So they try to play a Brazen Borrower. Since they didn't have the Mystical Dispute last time, my plan here is to Quench them, and then if they pay for it, we do it again so that way they can't Petty Theft anymore, and then we get them. So they pay for it here. The only way we lose is if they happen to top deck the Mystical Dispute because they didn't have it last time. However, it looks like they top deck Mystical Dispute, and maybe they just played around that really well the last time. However, if that was their top deck, one great top deck deserves another. Dream Eater coming down, bouncing the Brazen Borrower. GG. So we pick up the win there. Mystical Disputes come in. And this is where you kind of get confused. They don't play a ton of non-creature spells. Like, a lot of times the negates feel really bad. It's something you still kind of want. I throw 2 of them in here. We take out 2 Great Shark and 2 Dream Eaters because expensive blue cards that can be countered by 1 mana isn't very good. Also take out 2 Rewind because, again, it's just a little bit more expensive counter spell than we'd like. And I end up throwing 1 more Rewind back in there just to see. So game 2 against Simic Flash. We'll be on the draw this time, so it's a little bit more difficult. We'll see if we got it, though. Opener here, kind of crappy with only one blue source. We got a mulligan that. This one needs some lands, but it has potential to be really good. Here I play the islands that way. I'm still holding a Mystical Dispute should we need to use it. Opponent pass the turn. We shock in here with a Breeding Pool. Here, decide I don't want to run my Night Bonder into open mana here. However, we don't hit another land, and we don't hit another land again. That is brutal here. Once again, we run 26 lands, so the fact that we're missing them like this is kind of crazy. They just Shark Typhoon for 1. Because we could have very easily there been able to play a Night Bonder and then hold up Mystical Dispute. And if your Night Bonder resolves and doesn't get countered, that's usually GG. And now we can't even really afford a Growth Spiral because if we do, they just do this and play a Night Pack Ambusher. Still had to go for it. There's a land. Unfortunately, we're getting the lands now, just not right on time. We also just have just 1 green source here, which kind of sucks. So we bounce that back to their hand and pass the turn. This way we're still holding a Quench. Then we take our beat for 1. We don't play anything this time because if we do, again, they just play the Night Pack Ambusher. Just a rough spot for us to be in. Instead, they play Brineborn Cutthroat, which we can't dispute pretty easily. They can't pay for it here. They could counter it, but if they counter it, we do have another counter spell of our own. And then it feels bad because now if we fight over that, then they can resolve their Night Pack Ambusher. So we're kind of just in a lose-lose situation here. Opponent's drawing a lot of great cards, and we're kind of forced to fight over something we don't really want to fight over, but we have to. And again, if we just hit that land on turn 3 there, then I think we're kind of just off to the races already. While the shields are down, opponent gets that Night Pack Ambusher down. We draw on a gate, which still isn't a land. Yeah, I figured just concede. Let's not show them any more of the deck here. Nothing they need to know about. So we get to be on the play this time at least. Hopefully just hit our land drops. Hard to win games when you don't draw lands. End up bringing in, cutting 1 negate. And bringing in a Great Shark, I think. Otherwise, made no changes there. So game 3 against Traff DL. Be on the play. That's nothing but tap lands, baby. That's another pretty awkward hand, but one we can kind of keep here. I can play this Castle Vantress on 1 and hopefully draw into a blue source on 2. This Castle Vantress coming down. Tap Breeding Pool for opponent. We get a forest. Figure since the shields are down, let's try to find a land, and we miss again. So we miss again. So unfortunately, you know, it's back-to-back games of having a turn 2 Growth Spiral whiff on a land and then your next draw step whiff on a land is really bad, especially when you've had a mulligan. Like the deck plays 26, but if you can't hit them, what do you do? And unfortunately, by the time we found our 3rd land here, opponents already got 4 of their own, so they have all these things they can do. And we're stuck with 3 different 4-mana cards in hand and a 5-mana card. So it's looking like the end is near. They play a Cutthroat. We try to flash in this Night Bonder because we got to do something while the shields are kind of down. And this way, if they have a counter for it, at least it doesn't put a counter on their Brineborn Cutthroat. But they have the Brazen Bar, the Petty Theft. A card, again, that's not good in this matchup. Opponent kept a bad card in here, but they get rewarded for it anyway because we can't draw lands. There we get a land right on time. Just a little bit too little too late for this one, I'm afraid. Opponent plays in their Brazy Bee. Decide, try to counter that. They have to have a Mystical Dispute to stop this, or otherwise they can't do it. And of course they've got it. And I just give up there. Like, we've missed too many lands. Opponent's got the beats going on. Drop down. Let's go ahead and play one more. See if we can win this end this on a winning record. Game 3 against Sophie. We'll be on the draw this game. It kind of stinks, you know. Been playing Flash, hoping to come across some of these ramp decks and these Ugin decks, all these things we can kind of prey upon, and we just get put up against Gruul Aggro and Simic Flash mirror. Opponent drops into islands, so not sure what they're playing so far. Another island for opponent. This is like maybe mono blue. So we get Simic Flash, mono blue tempo / Flash, and then yeah, it's the Brazen Borrower Cutthroat. The arena gods just don't want us to play against good matchups, I guess. There we go ahead and Growth Spiral while we have a chance. Get all that down. Let's figure, go ahead and crack Fabled Passage. Really would like to hit an untapped land here so we can do Nightpack Ambusher, and of course we hit a Temple of Mystery. See, I'm actually forgot this. It's been a couple days since I recorded this. But yeah, we hit a tap land there, because why wouldn't we? Opponent plays another island. They are afraid of going to attack right now, which is totally fine with me. We try to play this Cunning Nightbonder, hoping it doesn't get countered, because if we can get this Nightbonder resolve against mono blue especially, we'll be in a fantastic spot. However, they got the Essence Capture ready to go. We find a Castle Vantress, so now I was thinking about doing Petty Theft on that Brazen Borrower Cutthroat. Try to bounce it back their hand while their shields are kind of down, but I feel like for now we're better off just waiting and seeing what they do. Still no attack for opponent. They're still scared. Big old scaredy britches. So we do a little Petty Theft on the Brazen Borrower Cutthroat. See if they won't let that bounce to hand, lose its counter. Hypnotic Sprite. Now unfortunately we don't have a counter spell for that, even though we played plenty in the deck. So I feel that instead, even since they're going to counter it, I may as well bounce that Cutthroat now. Kind of clear the playing field, and this way I've got the Great Shark held up this next turn. I could put my Nightpack Ambusher down as well, and if I had 6 mana, then I'd probably do that, so I could hold up Quench. But as it stands now, luckily the opponent only has 3 lands, and that's the only reason we're really kind of in this game right now. Figure, let's go ahead and play the Brazen Borrower, hold up Quench. Finding an untapped land here is beautiful. So we're at 6 lands, the opponent's 3. Sometimes, you know, I guess after all the times we got mana screwed before, then it's only fair that the opponent gets some every now and then too, right? They try to play old Cutthroat. So I can Ambusher here and Quench, or I could just play a Great Shark. If I gotta do this first, this way I can pay for a Mystical Dispute should they have it. Okay, they just Spectral Sailor. So that's fine. They can play their Sailor. I can play a Nightpack Ambusher. That's a trade I'm totally happy to have. This is why I don't think mono blue is like super great either. It can be an annoying one. It can grind with you for a little bit, but their closers just aren't nearly the power that Simics are. So opponent passes to the upkeep. Can't really do anything there. I could try to Growth Spiral and try to find a counter for that Brazen Borrower. But I figure let's just put it back in hand for now. It's not really hurting anything too bad. And as odd as it seems, so I think I should have attacked there. Kind of put them on the ropes because they can start drawing cards with Spectral Sailor, and that can get them back in this game. They can find some answers. And they're not playing their Hypnotic Sprite, so obviously something is up they have. So we start off, let's play this Growth Spiral. It's a Dream Eater. Oh. So now I could play Nightpack Ambusher here, or I could wait. We play into the most obvious counterspell either, but if you look at our hand, we have 6 mana, 5 mana, 5 mana cards. We've got to get something out of their hand. So they quench us, and that's unfortunate. But I think here, the whole thing we got to be doing here is just forcing them to have answers to their stuff. Because eventually if you run mono blue out of stuff, like their top decks are way worse than ours. Like if you see, we have some pretty good stuff in hand. So we swing for 3, they take it. I should have swung last time too. I'm hoping they just play a Brazen Borrower end of turn. They don't. Opponent playing around all this stuff really, really well. We'll give him that. So pass the turn. I feel like here, you know, we try to play Dream Eater and bounce our Sailor. Bouncing a Sailor doesn't do a whole lot, but just getting the 4-3 down and being able to surveil 4, really set up our draws nicely for the rest of the game is nice. They have the Essence Capture because of course, but again, you have to kind of play into this stuff sometimes. It really stinks when you have to, but that's just part of it. So here, even though it's a 2-2 Sailor, we can still attack. So we get the beats in there once again. So we're at least forcing them in a spot where they can't really afford to be activating the Spectral Sailor. Now they try to flash in a Cutthroat. I decided to play this Frilled Mystic here instead of the Great Shark because if they had a Mystical Dispute, then I could pay for it with Frilled Mystic, whereas I couldn't with the Great Shark. So that works out pretty well for us. So now we have 6 power on board. They play the Hypnotic Sprites, which makes me think they're probably starting to run out of counter spells now, and they're realizing, hey, we got to get a clock on here, or this is going to be over. So we swing in. See if opponent wants to trade, which they do. So we get the opponent down to 8. We're still winning this race right now. Opponent's down to 3 cards in hand. And they try to play the Brazen Borrower. We finally get an opportunity to get this Voracious Great Shark down cleanly. Now we have Lethal on board. They're at 4 cards. If we can untap especially, we're in a real good spot. So they play an island. So they got 3 cards in hand we don't know of. We're feeling pretty good now. They try to bounce my Great Shark, which is pretty frustrating to be honest. But, I mean, again, Brazen Borrower, not a super good card against these kind of decks. We go for the Growth Spiral here. Put the shields down. We get a Night Pack Ambusher. Not bad. And a Rewind. Also not bad. So we still got to go to attacks here. We still got to force them to have something. So they trade here. Let's see if they want to activate. They don't, which means they probably have a counter spell of some sort. Or they just be wanting to flash in that Brazen Borrower. This Opt we just let resolve. Like, I know there's something, like maybe in the greedy play is to let them get that countered. They bottom that. They still have 3 mana left over. And they do nothing. Played Island. They've only got 2 cards we don't know of. And this is really nice because we still can't do it yet. So I can play this Night Pack Ambusher. But I feel like waiting for one more, which, okay, we get to land now. So now I can play this Night Pack Ambusher and hold up Rewind. So they try to flash the Borrower in. We'll rewind that. Rewind the tape. They give us the good game, and they concede. Long grinding one there, but we get them. So game 2 against them, we definitely want Mystical Dispute. Fantastic all-star card against them here. And they do play a little bit more counter spells than like a Simic deck would do. So we go all 4 negates here. Warrant Warden I'm not sure about because it's nice to like tempo them out, but it's also just not super great here. And I decided just to, you know, they have hellacious amount of counter spells here, especially against their big stuff. So I just take out all the 6 drops. You know, this is kind of more the old school traditional flash list. And again, if we can get one of these Cunning Night Bonders to stick, we'll be in good shape. Also figure with Warrant and compared to Brazen Borrower there, that putting a creature on top of their library is better than putting it back in their hand. So I do bring in 2 Warrant in place of the 2 Brazen Borrowers. So opener here, really nice. A little bit slow because we have the you know, multiple passages and everything, but still we have turn 1 Fabled Passage, turn 2, and now that we draw the breeding pool, we could actually just kind of, you know, play normal Magic here. Decide to shock in, put it on full control expertly, may I add, and act like we have Mystical Dispute. Obviously I don't have it, but at least that makes them think when they go here, they, instead of playing something they may want to play, they can't. So here we just play Castle Vantress, pass the turn, holding up Growth Spiral and Negate. If they have a Brineborn Cutthroat, can't really do much about that, but is what it is. They opt. Now I could have countered that, but again, Usually you don't want to counter your ops. Opponent plays land quickly. Opponents maybe been watching me. They do a good job of, they as soon as they play that land, they smash that enter button and pass, making it look like they got nothing in hand. Really smart. So here we play Growth Spiral. It resolves. We'll play the Triome down. Pass the turn. Drawing a bunch of lands here, which we don't necessarily love, but could be worse. We have more lands than the opponent now. We're just kind of missing our actual 4-mana good threats. Opponent doesn't go to attacks this time with the Spectral Sailor. Probably afraid that we could flash in like a Shark Typhoon or something like that. But we don't. Pass the turn here. The staring contest begins. So we go ahead and crack Fabled Passage while still holding up Negate and Rewind, just in case they have anything tricky up their sleeves. We could have Castle Vantress, but again, against these kind of matchups, you don't really want to be using your Scribe because then your shields are down. We finally find Nightpack Ambusher, so we're just really hoping for some opportunity to be able to rewind and play Ambusher. Now, I do have Nightpack Ambusher and to Negate held up, which is really nice, but it is possible they could also have 2 counter spells for us. But figure, hey, we got the Negate back up, so let's play the Nightpack Ambusher. We got to force on a habit at some point. You can't play around this kind of stuff forever. Opponent Essence captures. We negate their Essence capture. Now we just got to see if they have the card in hand. We're hoping they just draw a card, Spectral Sailor, but they have the Quench. You hate to see it. But again, that's part of it. Everybody wants to get scared against the Flash, but you can't. And kind of as a slap in the face here, we draw a Night Bonder directly after we just get our Nightpack Ambusher countered. Because having an uncounterable Nightpack Ambusher is really nice. So opponent has 7 lands here, and they're about to that spot where they can just start getting a ton of value with Spectral Sailor, which is scary. So here we play the Night Bonder, hold up Rewind. They try to neutralize. In response to that, we try to rewind. Rewind. Opponent's only got 2 cards in hand. Do they have another? They have another spell. I mean, opponent just kind of had it all. We put them in 2 spots where we were playing a threat and had a counterspell backup, and both times they had back-to-back counterspells of their own. And that's what sucks there is that if we had that Night Bonder early, then those counterspells are useless against us. So opponent still doesn't attack in. We draw another Night Bonder, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but we're still in just such bad shape here. They can draw a card of Spectral Sailor and start running away at this game. So I figure, while they only got 2 cards in hand, let's try to play this Night Bonder. They have another counter spell. Now luckily we have a rewind, so we can counter it. But now this rewind doesn't even really matter that much. We can scry with Castle Vantress, which is nice. But otherwise, we're still kind of just in a rough shape. Because if they find a land next turn, they can start drawing 2 cards a turn. Well, 3 with their natural draw step. So land number 8 coming down. They get us down to 14. Here, might as well just scry 2. Quench isn't going to do it anymore with them having 8 lands, and a Breeding Pool isn't going to do it either. I tried to put a stop there. Didn't work. And from here, we don't really want to throw this Cunning Night Bonder into harm's way, so we don't attack. They draw a card. We still gotta wait. And that's just the beauty. Like Spectral Sailor is usually not a super great card, but man, in those kind of matchups there, it's real nice. Rewind, not gonna be enough. Again, we gotta find actual threats right now, and we bored a lot of those out, so the fact that our good ones have been countered already does kind of suck. So I'm feeling pretty dead in the water at this point. Like at this point, we're top deck mode, and they have a 2/2 flyer and are swinging, swinging 2. Got us down to 12. They have 5 cards in hand. They can draw 2. So feeling pretty dead here. Figure like let's scry it out. Let's try to find one more way to get in this, Even Warrant Warden not very good here at this point. We draw Frilled Mystic. Not the worst draw in the world. It is a way we could kind of get back into this. Try to attack an arena kind of freaks out a little bit. So you can't play around Shark Typhoon forever. We got to start attacking into the stuff at some point. And opponent has a big old 3/3 Shark to block our Cunning Night Bonder and 3 mana held up to counter a spell. So end up just keeping the same 60 or same 60 cards against them here. So game 3, we have to be on the play against them this time. Let's hope we can take it to them. Show them how it's done, Simic Flash style. So we'll take the play. Opener here is 6 lands. Yikes. Then we get 2 lands, but they're really nice ones. I don't think we need 3 Night Pack Ambushers, so we bought him one of those, pass the turn. Play an island. Here we can play the forest. Now this shows that I don't have a Cunning Night Bonder, but we still have this negate held up, which is like okay, I guess. Here we find a Brazen Borrower, so we go ahead and shock in here, represent like an actual regular counter spell, as well as have the ability to play Brazen Borrower itself if we wanted to. So it's a little game of cat and mouse with the opponent, see what they do. They cycle Shark Typhoon for 0, which is really nice for us. Opponent plays a land. Pass the turn. I feel like it's probably good to try to bait a counterspell out of him here, so I try to get this Brazen Borrower out. That way if we draw an untapped land, we can just get this Night Pack Ambusher down. And they dispute it. But that's not like a terrible thing for them to dispute. We're actually pretty okay with that. Miss out on land number 4 here. However, Mystical Dispute's not a terrible draw. Being hold up negate and Mystical Dispute. Missing lands. As for a deck that runs 26 lands, we do seem to miss out on quite a bit. So unfortunately, got to try to dispute this Spectral Sailor. They can't pay for it right now because they're missing lands also. Missed land drops versus missed land drops. What a game. Gotta love Magic sometimes. So opponent, they're still missing lands too, baby. Here we go ahead, Growth Spiral. Let's draw a card. Try to find the land. We need it. And we find it. And it's a Temple, which is good. Because if I had top decked that Temple while needing to get these Night Pack Ambushes down, I would have felt really mad. So we get land number 5 here. I could try to force a Night Pack Ambusher down at the end of their turn. But I'm thinking if I just wait for one more land and hold up the gate, that's probably just the better way to do it. I'm imagining opponent also just has an insane amount of counter spells here. Now I could have played Night Pack Ambusher there, and that was probably a good idea since they were at 2. But I can't imagine too many things that counter this for 2 mana. I guess Essence Capture. So I probably should have played that Night Pack Ambusher when, yeah. Like I ate myself into that. I felt pretty bad about that one, not gonna lie. So here, while the shields are down, we get this Night Ponder down, which is really good because then we have an uncounterable Night Pack Ambusher, and we also have 2 negates ready to roll. And this is what I'm saying, like if you can get your Cunning Night Ponder down against Mono Blue, they have a really hard time dealing with anything. So Night Pack Ambusher resolves, they can bounce it with Petty Theft, but they pass the turn, and at this point we have 3 negates in hand. Decided to just attack it with Night Pack Ambusher because I don't want to get my Night Bonder put into Shark Typhoon range, and they know it's over there. So good win there. 2-1 with the deck overall. I mean, our only loss is really to Mana Screws. Hey. Alright, y'all, so 2-1 with the list overall. Not too bad. We beat up on Gruul, which feels really nice. And we won the game against Mono Blue Tempo, which can be pretty rough there. Kind of funny, we never got to play any of the big ramp decks this is actually great against. Like in fact, this is like the Mirror, Mono Blue, and Gruul is probably one of the worst gauntlets you could put this through. So 2-1 against it, hey, we'll take that. And the only loss was really just because we didn't get mana on time. I enjoyed it overall. Anything I can get 2 wins with out of 3 games in this kind of meta right now, I guess I'll take. So I'll probably play around with some more with this one. Hope y'all enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. See you next time. Goodbye.